Hello everyone, this is Izzy and welcome to another installment of The Inner Sanctum. And it's springtime for Mel Brooks. Yes, it is. Yes, because on Sunday, June 28th, 2026, Mr. Mel Brooks, the comedy legend, will be celebrating his 100th birthday. So this is my way of celebrating. I'm going to talk a little bit about his movies that I own and that I enjoy. And if I have a little information about them, I will tell you about them too. He first was noticed by Sid Caesar and was doing the writing on his famous Your Show of Shows, and everything escalated from there. His first movie was, of course, The Producers, which he wrote and he actually directed. And I remember him telling a story when he first met Gene Wilder. Gene Wilder was doing a play somewhere, and after the play was over, Mel Brooks went backstage with his wife Anne Bancroft to see Gene Wilder, and he was wearing a pea coat. And he said to Gene Wilder, well, actually, they tried calling it a urine coat, but that didn't go over. That's like a joke I would make. So I thought that was actually hilarious. So he got Gene Wilder to do The Producers, but Zero Mostel, who was the star of the movie, had final say on who was in it. And the way he got Gene Wilder to get over his nerves about working with the great Zero Mostel was Zero went and gave him a big kiss on the lips. And that eased all the tensions, and they went and they made the film. And I actually have the soundtrack record of the movie, The Producers. It's a great soundtrack, and I also have the film on Blu-ray, if I can find it here for you. Yes, right here. This is put out by Shout Factory. It looks wonderful. It's a good-looking Blu-ray, and I believe Kino Lorber has done another restoration of it, so I'm not sure which one is better. I think there's positives and negatives on both, but he actually won, like I said, an Oscar for the writing of this movie, because it was a great script, great, wonderful script. Now, it was a little bit controversial because he was making fun of Hitler and all, but I think it wasn't as controversial as it could have been because of the TV show Hogan's Heroes that took place in a prisoner of war camp during World War II. Now, if there was no Hogan's Heroes, I think The Producers would have caused more controversy. And I heard he wanted to call it Springtime for Hitler, but said a lot of places probably wouldn't have publicized the movie, so he had to go with The Producers. And it didn't make a lot of money when it came out, but it has since then become a big cult classic. And it's a wonderful, wonderful film. And then one of his next early films, and I'm not sure if it came out next, is The 12 Chairs. Now, I made this cover for it because when I bought it, I had bought it off of eBay from somebody who had the whole Mel Brooks collection on Blu-ray because it came as a big box set, and I already had some of his movies, so I didn't want to buy the whole box set. So I bought this, and luckily I was able to find something like this on online, so I could make the case for it. I think it came out pretty good, not perfect. It's a movie where I think it's supposed to take place, I don't know, early on, like 1800s or whatever. I'm not sure exactly when, but they find that in one chair there's a bunch of jewels buried in a chair, and they have to go and find that chair after the chairs have been spread out across the country or whatever. Ron Moody and Frank Langella are together looking for it, and they have another hilarious sequence where Dom DeLuise is looking for the chairs, and you have a hilarious scene with him by a seaside breaking up a bunch of chairs hoping to find the jewels in them. Now, from what I understand, he had trouble coming up with the theme song, so I forget if his wife Anne Bancroft actually locked him in the attic or just told him to stay in the attic till he could come up with a theme song for the movie, which was Hope for the Best, Expect the Worst. Great song, and it happens to be featured on this album, which I got this last year because it was on Record Store Day. I didn't buy it on Record Store Day, I bought it afterwards, and I got it for the same price as Record Store Day because I guess it wasn't a big seller. And unfortunately, the movie didn't do too well either. I mean, it's not his greatest, but it's not that bad either. Then came one of his all-time classics, and we all know what that is, Blazing Saddles. And yes, I agree with everybody who says that it probably couldn't be made today. No, it probably couldn't be, but what he was trying to do was make fun of it, you know, people and the race relations and everything going on. And Richard Pryor was also one of the writers of the film, and Mel Brooks kept on asking him, how many times can I use it, you know, a certain word to describe African Americans? And Richard Pryor said, say it again, you can use it again, you can use it again. So he kept on using it. And I remember one time I tried watching this on American Movie Classics years ago when they actually used to show movies on there. They cut out all that stuff and it lost all the comedy in there, and it just didn't work. And I'm sure if this was put out by Disney and not Warner Brothers, you probably wouldn't even have a 4K of it. But the 4K, it looks pretty good, and it has some reminiscences or whatever, you know what I mean, from some of the actors that were in it, and it's great. It stars Gene Wilder, Cleavon Little, Harvey Korman, Slim Pickens, Dom DeLuise in a small part. It's a funny movie, and just go with it, and it's just meant to be fun, and it really is you can have a great time with it. And a lot of people love the scene around the campfire. All the cowboys are eating beans, and well, you know what happens when people eat beans, so enough said, right? Right. Then came, I believe, another big classic of his, Young Frankenstein. Da, 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 da. Actually, some people don't realize that Young Frankenstein, the whole idea of it, was thought of by Gene Wilder. And then he went to Mel Brooks with the idea, and Mel Brooks helped him hone it into a screenplay. And the scene where Dr. Frankenstein and the monster are on stage when the monster sings Putting on the Ritz, Gene Wilder had to argue with Mel Brooks about it. He said something like, they were in a hotel room somewhere and Mel Brooks kept saying, it's not going to work. No, that scene's not going to work, not going to work. And Gene Wilder was arguing and yelling at him for about a good half hour, almost losing his voice. And then Mel Brooks said, okay, it's in the movie. And then Gene Wilder said, what do you mean, just like that? And Mel Brooks said something like, I didn't know if it was a really, really dumb idea to put that in the movie or a really, really good idea. But I know if you really fought for it, it was a good idea. And actually, it was a good idea. First, they had went to Columbia Pictures for this, and Columbia said, okay, you're going to make it for $7 million, not a penny more. And they didn't want to do that because they weren't sure that it could be exactly $7 million or less. So they went to 20th Century Fox. And near the end of the conversation, Mel Brooks said, oh, by the way, this movie's going to be in black and white. And head people at 20th Century Fox didn't want it in black and white because they were afraid of selling the movie to television after its theatrical run and international sales. And they wanted it in color. And Mel Brooks basically said, okay, you can have it in color, but get yourself another director. And they said, no, we want you. So they let it be in black and white. And from what I understand, Peter Boyle, who played the monster, met his future wife on the set. And while he was made up as a monster, he asked her out on their first date. And this is great cast with Cloris Leachman, Terry Garr, and Marty Feldman. I remember, Blucher. Now I'm not sure which movie came out next, but of the next three, but we're going to talk about them all. But next one I'm going to talk about is silent movie. This is another one of those that I got off of somebody off of eBay, and I couldn't find a case to make for it. It's basically a silent movie, and the storyline is him playing a guy and has-been director named, I think, Mel Fun, who wants to make a silent movie, and he goes around Hollywood trying to get a bunch of stars to be in it. And that's somewhat the story of how much trouble he actually had trying to make this film to begin with. Funny cast with Marty Feldman, Dom DeLuise, and a lot of Hollywood people in it. His wife Anne Bancroft has a cameo in it, Paul Newman, and a lot of other people. And the funniest bit is with the mime Marcel Marceau. I'm not going to say what he does in the movie, but that is the most hilarious thing in the whole movie. And actually, the movie works for what it is as a silent movie. You don't think it could work in this day and age or when it came out, but it works and it's very, very funny. And next comes High Anxiety. You win. Yeah, you win when you watch this movie. It's a takeoff on Alfred Hitchcock movies, and Hitchcock himself even liked the movie. He liked it so much that he sent Mel Brooks an expensive case of wine and said, "This is to wine what High Anxiety is to Hitchcock movies." So it was a hard feat to do, a movie spoofing, Alfred Hitchcock, but Mel Brooks did it. My favorite scene is the takeoff on Psycho. I don't want to give it away if you haven't watched it yet, but just remember, if you come late, you don't get fruit cup. And then he did History of the World Part 1. Now recently on Hulu or Netflix, they did Part 2. I have no intention of getting Hulu or Netflix just for it, and I don't know, after so many years, could you really capture the magic of this first one? No. Some people didn't like it. I thought it was good for what it is. Maybe not his best, but it's up there pretty good, and I think it's a fun movie. Now, I haven't seen any of his other movies. I saw one called Life Stinks, which I didn't care for that much, and no, I never saw Spaceballs, and I'll tell you why. Because it's a takeoff on Star Wars, and some people might hate me for this, but I'm one of those few people that didn't care for Star Wars. So if I watched Spaceballs, I probably wouldn't get the comedy. And no, I never saw Robin Hood Men in Tights or Dracula Dead and Loving It. Never saw those, but he's still going strong at 100, and he had a Broadway musical based on the original producers. Here is the original cast album, and it starred Nathan Lane as Max Bialystock and Matthew Broderick as Leo Bloom. Now, I've heard this, and it sounds great, and I can just imagine having seen the Broadway show with them in it. I would have loved to have seen it. So far, I believe it holds a record for number of Tony Award wins, which is 12. No other play has won 12 Tony Awards. Way to go, Mr. Brooks, way to go. And I think part of the reason is because it harkens back to the days of the old musicals, I think it was about 2.5, 3 hours long, and it was very similar to some of those with all the songs in it and all, and they used, the basic plot of the producers. They did change it around a bit, and, that's okay, so, it still works, so, and like I said, this is a great album. And, well, then, of course, what did they do after that, which they do with other Broadway shows? They made it into a movie. I say that because I don't think the movie was that good. It wasn't good as like the old-time musicals like The Sound of Music, King and I, Music Man, Oliver, when they turned those into movies. So, like I said, I think the Broadway show was like those musicals, so I was hoping the movie was going to be similar to when they made those plays into movies. But no, this runs at about 2 hours. They have some songs, some they deleted, and, well, of course you have some of the same stars in it, Matthew Broderick and Nathan Lane, but it's just not as good as a Broadway show. But if you're not into listening to the CDs or whatever, or not into music that much, but you like musicals, you give this a try. It's not bad. This is the international version I bought before Universal released it here in America, but this is still a good version, and I'm happy with this version. It looks nice and all, and, well, I know Roger Ebert, the film critic, he loved it because he thinks the original Producers is one of the best comedies ever made. And you know what? I would have to agree with him that the original Producers with Mostel and Wilder is one of my all-time favorite comedies. Also, I don't know if you know this or not, but Mel Brooks is also what would be known as an EGOT winner, which means he won all the major entertainment awards: an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony. He won an Emmy, or more than one Emmy, I should say, one for a Sid Caesar special, and a few times for guest starring in Mad About You. He won a Grammy for a comedy spoken word album with Carl Reiner about the 2,000-year-old man. The Oscar he won for writing the original producers, and he won a Tony Award, or more than one, for his Broadway version of the producers. Way to go, Mel. Way to go. And then during COVID, his son talked him into writing his memoirs, a book. And here it is, Mel Brooks, All About Me. I bought this a while ago, and yes, I admit I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but I'm on a reading binge lately. So right now, I'm in the middle of reading Tim Curry's memoirs titled Vagabond. So when I'm done with that, this will be my next book. And he only puts in, I think, happy anecdotes, because he says, why dwell on the sad parts, just talk about the happy parts. So that's what he does in this book. So I'm looking forward to reading it. It's going to be a very, very fun book. And you know something? Mel Brooks is one of those people that I would love to meet in real life, because even at his age, I still think he could make me laugh. Every time I see him on TV or whatever, he's always funny. I mean, he's just one of those people who can always come up with something comical. That's just the genius of Mel Brooks. And Mel, I thank you for all the years you have given us all this humor and entertainment. And it's been multi-generational, probably about at least 3 generations now. I don't know if you realize how many lives you have touched with your comedy, and how much joy and laughter and smiles you have given to everybody out there in the world. For that, I applaud you. You are very wonderful, Mr. Brooks, and I am so happy to be celebrating your 100th birthday. So, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mel Brooks. Happy birthday to you, and many more. Again, thank you, Mr. Brooks, for you have given us some irreplaceable moments in entertainment. And until then, I will see you next time here in the Inner Sanctum.